Govindam bhaja Govindam, Govindam bhaja Govindam, Mudhamate Govindam bhaja Mudhamate. Spontaneously and left and right Shankaracharya is given to admonish the student like Buddha. That's why I said any guru, where Shankaracharya is a very soft person, you will know from Bhaja Govinda how harsh he is, how harsh, what a Vairagya he is talking, how he is breaking the Vairagya of the students. He breaks the body at all. One day when the time permits, I will chant that Bhaja Govinda. It is like a beating. They don't beat around the bush. They only hit at the bull's eye. You should understand. There is no murmuring the words. There is no mincing the words. So they just say whatever and is right, because what comes out from them is only the right. They can never promote any wrong thing. Oh my God, if I say wrong thing, whether the student will stay or not, whether the student will hold on to you or not, least bothered. Like Kumar, I am least bothered. What do you think? So it is for your benefit I am telling the right thing. If you are not interested, doesn't matter. You are at loss, I am not at loss. If you go to a lake, and so in childhood we used to go to the lake, and so we wash our ass using the water I told you. No, I don't like you lake, and you don't wash using that water your ass. And whether lake is in a problem or whether your ass is in, which stinks you tell me, lake stinks or your ass stinks? Your ass stinks. A person with the wisdom going to a lake, and if he gets annoyed with the lake, he is called a fool. He should not get angry on the lake. He went after all to the lake to clean his ass. And all the wisdom is, and to use that whatever, no, this water is not good, this water is very good, this pH is 4.5, this pH is 7, this pH is 14, so this water, before you go to the lake, you should have thought about it. And so you passed already excreta, you joined there on the lake bed, you finished, and your excreta is there, your ass is full of excreta, and now you sit, hey lake dirty, I won't wash. Whether that water is dirty, now where your ass is dirty, which is more important to clean, tell me. So there is nothing dirt than your ass over there. So the first priority is cleaning the ass. This example in the ashram, I am telling you how crude examples. You may be wondering, Shankaracharya or Buddha, when they admonish, if I chant those things, it is like breaking. Oh my God, where is the softness? You will see, he breaks you apart completely. That's only the way to break the coconut, it's very sheathed. Otherwise, it is like your skull. You are not using the brain, you are using the skull. Skull is so thick, brain is so thin inside. That's why, in order to thicken the brain, so now what the teacher will do, he will break the skull, coconut. A person, whose brain is developed, his skull, you should know, his skull is very thin. His skull has so much. By looking at the skull after passing away itself, monks will tell whether you are enlightened or whether you are not enlightened. The skull density, the skull itself speaks everything. So you should know. So whether brain is grown or whether skull is grown. The big skull, buffalo has a big skull, and cow has a big skull, and bull has a big skull, hippopotamus has a big skull. Are we growing the skull? Or are you growing the brains? Are you growing the horns? Are you growing the ears? It's called in ashrams. Are you growing the horns? Or are you growing the ears? Grow ears. Day by day your ear should go. Like Buddha ear, have you seen? It's very big. It is very hanging like this big. That indicates. Grow ear. Shanyahans. So these are a typical way of understanding the traditions in Vedanta. When you say tradition means a tradition won't compromise. That's why it's called a tradition. So I don't like this. As I told you, I don't like your lake. I don't wash. So whose ass stinks? Always. Wherever you go, whichever the guru you meet, whichever the ashram you go, understand. And it is whether it is a dirty water, it is a water, whatever it is, don't judge. It is, I went there, okay. There is something, even that water I don't have. Even that water I don't have. So whatever the water it is much better than your ass, remember. A stinking ass. Ass means just vichitrowing. Because we are asses, So we have all the stink inside. What else? That's why it is compared. Why we are going there to clean? And as if you are pure, you start questioning. That's what happened with Jesus, isn't it? With Mary Magdalena. This is what happened. Hey? And you see so? What a sin she did. And she said, check your asses. Check you, all of you. Is there anyone who has not done sin? All you are stinking. And she is far better than your stink. If you are not stinking, throw the stone. They all felt stinking. Their body is stinking. Everything is. Instead of cleaning, you are blaming her stink. Her stink is much less compared to your stink. Hey guys. So when we go to a ashram, when we go to a guru, this is what in the world today one has to learn. Don't try to name the teachers, blame the teachers, whoever it is. There is a kindergarten teacher. What kind of teacher it is? Because of that kindergarten only, that kindergarten many children. Because of that teacher only you are there. What kind of teacher doesn't matter. What kind of school doesn't matter. But still, she was a teacher because you are today here because of the teacher only. So when we go, so we are going, whatever the water there, that water, we have to use it for cleaning, understand. That water, instead of judging the water, use that water, allow that water to settle and clean it. If you don't clean, it's a problem. So never get annoyed, never get blame, never get angry on the ashram, never get angry on the teacher, never. And if you get, the problem is not for the ashram or a problem is not for a guru, problem is for a student is not understanding. So who is stinking? And it is the student who stinks. It is not, lake will never stink. Lake will never stink. Every day we used to go to the lake. Every day we washed our asses. Every day. I tell you, as long as in the lake water is there. But that water never stinks. Lake is a lake. But if you don't wash on any day that water in the lake did not stink. And though we try to pollute it because it can accommodate. But whereas, if you don't wash any day, and no one can move around you, one day you can experiment it also. You don't wash and go to the lavatory, keep it open and make a hole. These days people make holes here, fashion. People make holes here, make a hole here and leave it open. And do you think people will come to you? Even you spray so many perfumes, but when the smell emanating from here comes, no one will come to you. The whole why in Kruta Yuga means during the Vedic period, Rig Veda period, Kruta Yuga, so humans used to converse. Vedas means conversations with the God. The Kruta Yuga means conversations with the God. Not today, a obsessed schizophrenic is talking with the God. In Kruta Yuga, like all of us, we can see each other, you can see all angels moving around you because your mind is already at the level of trance, at the level of Ekagra Bhumika, at the level of Samadhi, at the level of Ananda Samapatti. You have all those vipaka. Yesterday my daughter, she is asking, she won't keep quiet. She is asking, what are the chittas, Dad? You said 120 chittas. Because she is my daughter. So she is a student. And so she inquires. So there is a difference between a student and a daughter. A daughter also a student. So this is what happened with the Bhrigu, Varuna, Nachiketa and his father. So my daughter asked, what are these 120 chitta? Can you explain? They are not actually 120. My dear daughter, 121. Oh. So then I have to sit with her. How these 121 chittas, what Patanjali is talking about, what Buddha is talking about, how they are divided into. How they are divided into what are the Lokottara, what are the Kamavachara, what are the Rupavachara, what are the Arupavachara chittas and what are the Kama chittas and all the what are Shobha chittas, and I have to divide classification. I have to explain her, she won't keep. So why this is like this? I have to explain her, it is like this, it is like this, it is like this. And once she is satisfied, and then job is done. That is how a student is not. She is interested in reading the book. She could have referred the book. She could have referred the Google. No. She did the right thing. She asked the teacher. And why teacher answered? So if the student at appropriate stage, if a student is thinking about all other students, not about himself. My daughter is not interested at all in herself. My daughter is interested because she is conveying all that knowledge to so many people. Her mission is different. So there, my responsibility is different. That's why I won't explain or certain things which, when we teach, some things omissions happen. So all those corrections you will find, especially in my daughter's blog. That is the advantage. It's not that promoting a daughter or something. It is about promoting an inquisitiveness. Why am I explaining you this? When you go to a guru, when we go to a guru or ashram, when we start a course or anything, what makes me a successful person coming out of all the traditional ashrams is my humility and your discipline, your humility, your acceptance. You are always at the lotus feet, always think positively. That's what Patanjali says, Shaucha Santosha, always be positive. Everything, learn to look at positive, especially with the Guru, and the ashram. Whatever he said, never generate even a moment of negativity. That is the thing I always tell the students, which the quality I have, which made me successful. But a student I see invariably somewhere fails. If that doubt, if that question, if that is not there, so attitude is only whatever teacher is doing for my good. If that is 100% is there in you, there is no more question, there is no more intellect you are using, there is no more intelligence you are using. There is no more intellect, no more intelligence. Teacher is always right and teacher always loves me. Whatever he does the best for me, fundamentally drawn. If that you question, you will never get enlightened. You can, until you feel, oh, I am understanding, I am progressing. But let me tell you, you will never get completely enlightened. The first level of enlightenment, do you know what it is? First level of enlightenment, do you know what it is? It is called Vichikicha. Vichikicha. In Pali language. Vichikitsa. What is Vichikitsa? Chikitsa, Vichikitsa. Chikitsa means therapy. Healing. Healing. Chikitsa. Vichikitsa. Why? Therapy, disease. There is a problem. That's why you need a therapy. Why problem? Why disease? That's why you are going to the doctor. So disease. What is a disease? In spiritual it's got doubt. Why you got a doubt? Why you got a disease? Because you don't know the pramana, standard, doubt. And vichikitsa is a quality which will be eliminated at the first level of enlightenment. Means the very first level of enlightenment it tells that you are 100% surrendered to the teacher. If you are not surrendered to the teacher, 100% if you are not surrendered, and so what, whether you are first level enlightened or not, is only will be known with this. There are 7 levels in removing the vichikitsa. 7, even in the first level of enlightenment, there are 7 levels. Either you have to go through 7 levels, or you have to go through 7 levels. Even the first level of enlightenment, you can have only 1 birth. Otherwise, 7 births for a person who has not eliminated completely. Doubt has to be removed. The first, what prevents you in progressing in the spirituality is a questioning and doubt. Doubting the tradition, doubting the guru. So in abroad people, so they look at the doubt as a negative thing. But I am telling you, so I don't doubt anyone. I never have any doubt about a teacher. I never have any question about the teacher. I have no question. Always teachers used to ask me, Kumari, you have any question? You don't ask any questions at all, Mr. Kumar. You have no doubts in India, so doubt, question is intermingled. Questioning is considered, it is not that like in the West, questioning is different, doubt is different. In India, doubt or a questioning is the same. Question is considered as a doubt, doubt is considered as a question. Someone is questioning means he is doubting. Simple. That is in there in our blood. A questioning means it is a doubt. A doubt means very bad thing. Means questioning is very, very bad thing. You may be thinking, oh, questioning is very good. It only boosts your ego. It only strengthens your intelligence. Questioning will never answer your experience. Questioning will raise so many questions. That's why in no ashram, understand, a student all the time who is questions, who doubts, who questions, is not a student. Understand? I never question, I never doubt, always meditate. You have no questions, Kumar. I only clarify about little bit at one stage, that too after 7 years, 6 years of intense meditation. I used to go to the teacher and teacher, this is it okay? I am not worried. First I try to tell, I am not worried about the stages, I am not worried about the experience. Am I doing right, teacher? And the moment teacher answers something, again so many questions come, that's it. They end the matter. No more question. Because one question leads to 1,000 questions. 1,000 questions leads to million questions. Million questions leads to billion questions. Your mind will be full of questions. A teacher who encourages the questions, so So that student, in that tradition, no student will ever get enlightened. That's why there is no interactive sessions. This interactive learning, in interactive learning, no one learns, frankly speaking, because so what Mr. Kumar, then, teacher used to ask, any questions? Sir, I am not yet ready, sir, to ask a question. What can I ask a question, sir? Am I at a level of asking a question, sir? Am I a level, sir, to ask a question or to doubt? This should be the answer of a student. This should be the answer. If a teacher asks, hey my dear student, why you don't have any questions? Why you don't have any doubts? Is it that, you're completely cut off from me? So then the student should answer, no sir, I am not at a level of even questioning, sir. If I am at a level of having a question, sir, why do I come here, sir? I am zero, I do not know anything, sir. And anything when I do not know, how the question will come, sir? When my mind is empty, and how come there is something in the pot, sir? If there is something else, if something is there in it, it only gets mixed up, sir. And I don't have that habit, sir. My pot is empty, no questions, sir. Whatever you filled, it is there. That's all, there is no questions. Whatever you filled, it is there in my pot, 100%. No doubt, sir. I have come here only to fill my pot. Why the doubt? If I close my pot, what for I have come here, sir? I have come here only to fill my pot. So I have to keep it open. Where is the question of doubt, sir? Where is the question of questions, sir? I am at your lotus feet, sir. I am always at your lotus feet. I am so incredibly grateful to you, sir. Incredibly grateful to you. In every ashram, with every teacher, including every fakir, I only said one thing. Even a small technique I learnt, swallowing a rock, stone, and taking out a stone from my stomach. Even that technique, that guru, I told the same thing to him, what I told the person who taught me the enlightenment. Oh my God, sir, this technique, whatever it is, oh my God, sir, I can fall on your feet. Whatever you want, take. My treating a teacher is the same when I am in that ashram. And that's the way one has to learn. Questions, doubts, what first will gets removed in the process of enlightenment, first level of enlightenment to the last level of enlightenment, what makes them stuck up is only this. Doubt, question, lack of surrender, lack of devotion. Oh, I love your teaching, sir, but I am not like that. Means teacher is wrong. I am not like that, sir. What do you mean? Many of my students, when I see they have certain qualities, when I see them having some qualities, when I try to encourage them and dissolve their ego and take them along in the singularity, and the moment you touch, not all students I would say, but some students, the moment I touch, and the gender comes into the picture, the identity comes into the picture, their social conditioning comes into the picture, and so many things come into the picture. What can I say? Where you got stuck up? And these very students feel, we are very progressing. I get a lot of good feedback. No, sir, this student is very good, And after 10 years, I do this testing. After 10 years, 15 years when I test, 10 years they have seen the teacher, and after 5 years, 6 years, 10 years, they miserably fail. And they so, oh, your teaching is very good, sir. We really like, sir. Every day we hear your TV, so every day we hear, I don't tell those students because it is of no point in discussing with them. No one can tell. You should not doubt the teacher. No one should tell. You should not question. It has to come. Inherently it has to come. Surrender, devotion is an inherent quality. It is not a quality to be told to acquire. When one has a gratitude, attitude, as I told you, and automatically flows. Oh my God! So this teacher, every teacher in my whole life, I don't think I commented on any teacher. Teaching, of course, when I am comparing with Krishnamacharya, with Iyengar, but it is about the issue, it is about the science. And that too, I always tell where it stands, where it stands. I have to tell you the fact. But it is no mean, it doesn't mean demeaning anyone, no. So understand, so grammar or anything, it has to be experienced. And when a person like me teaches, and the people like parrots, the one who has not cleansed, where there is no samskarana, where there is no, these people who have not cleaned themselves, and they talk about cleaning, language of cleaning, those language of cleaning never cleaned. Cleansing, without cleansing, and they talk about, hey, there is a mistake, there is a mistake. I have seen especially with the Western scholars, the Sanskrit scholars in the West, and the Pali scholars in the West, I don't say best, they are the worst. Why? Because they are like, only one direction they look at, the way they are trained, and for them, everything is separate. The more they divide, the more they get the citations, more they get the credit, Entire mission of a Western scholar or Indian scholar is to divide. Entire objective of Sanskrit is to bring together. This is a problem with the most modern. And you guys, and if someone is Sanskrit means you go like a snake charmer behind them to listen. Whatever he says, oh my God. It's the God's language he is speaking in. Do you think that language has any meaning? Understand? Sanskrit means what? The one who has cleaned. What he speaks is a Sanskrit. The one who cleansed, a clean mind, when he speaks, is called a Sanskrit. Everywhere now the research in yoga books, in spiritual ancient books, research by the Western universities, by Indian universities, all these scholars get together, have these conferences, for what? Not even one person enlightened in that. All of them they talk about hallucination, all of them deluded, hallucinating, and one over the top, and praising among themselves, appreciating. This is what happened during the time of the Janaka. All the intellectual scholars, Yajnavalkya walked into, and he found all these speaking parrots. They have never experienced it, they have never cleansed it. They are talking about the Sanskrit. You should read Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Brihadaranyaka Upanishad is only about this. These speaking parrots.